Hey guys, Justin Bryant here from selfmadesuccess.com. In this video, I'm going to show you 6 steps that you can go through to come up with good business ideas. So if you want to start your own business, you want to be an entrepreneur, but you're not sure what you want to do or what you should do or how to make your impact on the world, I'm going to show you 6 steps and some questions to ask yourself and some examples of what you could do. So the first thing you need to ask is, what are you good at? So you may want to solve world hunger, or you may want to build the next great spaceship or something, but are your skills really fit for doing something like that, or putting together a team to do something like that? So you need to know what you're good at. So a couple articles I would actually recommend to you for figuring this out that really outline good strategies for figuring out what you're good at naturally and what you should pursue are one is on themuse.com. It's called 4 Ways to Figure Out What You're Good At, not just what you're passionate about. See, the thing about passion is your passion will change. What I've come to learn from my own experiences is that your passions can be a great fuel for a few years, but then as you educate yourself more, as you get more experience in different things, as you meet different people along the way, you become passionate about other things. As you see more problems rise, as you become influenced by other factors that you weren't influenced by before. So you can't just pursue your passion, because that will always be changing. And as a business, you want to be there for the long haul. So figuring out what you're good at is extremely important. In this article, some of the things it asks are, what skills have helped you thrive? In other words, what have you done successfully? What kind of hobbies did you have? What helped you have an edge over other people? Number 2, what makes you feel strong? In other words, how do you feel when you do something? Do you feel empowered? Do you feel good? Do you feel successful when you do something? Or do you feel weak? Do you feel inferior when you work in certain areas? Things like that can be an indicator. Number 3, what made you stand out as a child? So when you're a child, everything is very clear-cut, because you're not into the whole politics of life. You're not into all these complicated relationships and decisions that you have to make yet. So it's very clear when you're growing up as a child what you might be good at in the future. For instance, if you like to draw and you've gotten pretty good as a child, or if you're very good with math, you're good with numbers, you learn math very quickly, things like that. Number 4, what compliments do you tend to ignore or do you get very often? So things like that can really help you. I would recommend you read through that whole thing, and I'll have a link to the page for you. Another thing that will help you, another resource, is on bustle.com. 9 ways to figure out what you're meant to do. So basically it talks about some things that you could do. Making a list is very helpful. What your natural abilities are, what your natural interests are. I mean, if you're not interested in what you're doing, it's not going to work out too well. Where do they overlap? What would you be proud of? I'll talk more about that in a minute. What makes you feel at peace? What did you dream of doing? These types of things can help you figure out, if you go through the whole article, what maybe you should be working on. Because if you're not good at it, there's a good chance you won't be able to do what needs to be done. Number 2, where is there a need? So once you kind of know what your skill set is and what you could do successfully, where is there a need? If you want to help 1 billion people, that's the best way to make $1 billion. If you want to provide a very high quality service to a very select number of people, there's a lot of different ways to figure out where there is a need, whether it's in entertainment, whether it's in health, whether it's in money and finance. One person I would recommend you study when it comes to figuring out what you should be working on is Elon Musk. He's an incredible guy who basically came out of school focusing on 5 different industries that he wanted to work in, some of which included energy. And so he's now working on solar through solar shingles for roofs and solar city. Another thing he wanted to work in was space travel. He wanted to ensure that the human race could survive if something happened to Earth. So he's working on Mars missions with SpaceX. He's also afraid of what artificial intelligence could do and what it could mean if machines become much smarter than humans. So now he just started recently a company that's working on combining machines with humans. So I would recommend you listen to this interview. Some of the things he talks about are just incredible, what he's working on, how he came up with what needs to be worked on, and that can really inspire you to figure out what you should focus on for a business idea. So it's called Elon Musk, How to Build the Future on the Y Combinator YouTube channel. Another place that you can find where there are needs is by figuring out what common questions or what common problems are people having. So I would recommend going to Quora.com. Another place might even be Yahoo Answers, but I believe Quora has become more popular now. And there are a lot of questions in all different industries. So what questions are going unanswered? What needs are going unfilled? What industries, whether it's self-improvement, health, technology, finance, what are people struggling with? What are people wanting? What are people needing? And going through Quora, answering questions, looking at people's questions, looking at answers to those questions from others can really give you some perspective on that. Number 3, what product or service do you wish was available? So one of the best ways to come up with a business that you are going to stick with and take to the top is finding something that is not available that you really wish was, that would really improve your quality of life, that just isn't out there yet or isn't good enough if it is out there. One example of a company that did this is Evernote. Evernote is one of the top note-taking apps and platforms ever created, and what it does is it gives you all kinds of ways to brainstorm, get feedback, create timelines, to-do lists, take notes in meetings, take notes of ideas, remind yourself of things you have to do, just all these ways of organizing your life and organizing what's in your head and backing that up in a app that you can have on many different devices. And if something happens to a device, it will be backed up because it's an internet-based service. So Evernote is an example of the founders really wished something was like this out there, and there wasn't, so they created it. Another thing you can do is look at Reddit. Reddit is a great tool for finding what people are interested in, what people want, what people need, what problems are in the world, what solutions could be possible. Brainstorming is a great thing to do on Reddit, and there are subreddits or categories for every industry you could ever think of, small and large. So Reddit, another great place to figure out, maybe even looking at your past answers of what you wish people would create. Number 4, what do trends look like going towards the future? So one thing, for instance, I'll give you an example. I started a YouTube channel, and I started spending more time with my YouTube channel because I realized that video traffic was growing so much, that video traffic was eventually going to take over all internet traffic. that with the rise of smartphones and things like that, people were watching more videos on YouTube than they were reading articles and things like that. And these types of trends led me to create this YouTube channel where I actually spend a lot of time creating content here now instead of just doing blog posts like I used to. And it's paid off. And it's growing month after month, year after year as more people, as predicted by trends, are spending more time on video channels. So what do the trends look like right now? What is rising? What is expected to rise in the future? One way to look at this is Google Trends. You can look based on the years, based on months, based on the last few days, what's going on today, what topics are most popular, what industries are becoming more popular. Let's say you wanted to look at business in the United States. What are people talking about the most right now? What's really on the rise in the last 24 hours, the last few days, the last few weeks, the last few months and years? Google Trends show you trends in data. So that will show you from the most powerful search engine on the internet where people are looking now and in the future. Another example of a way to find what the future might look like and what problems may arise in the future is looking at the TED Talks YouTube channels. Now, they have multiple channels. There's TED Talks, there's TEDx Talks. Those two channels will show you what top influencers in all different types of broad and specific industries are worried about or excited about for the future. So many of these are about what is happening now and what will happen in the future based on data, based on trends. So for instance, robots that could solve certain problems, where the political landscape is going, what kind of products could be created in the future. They have some about where food is going and how we're going to provide for the growing Earth population and ways technology could help. What are we going to do about clean water and the scarcity that is almost inevitable in the future? What are we going to do about space? What happens if an asteroid comes towards Earth? Things like that could happen in the future that may not be happening right this second. You might be able to make a great business out of it. Number 5, how will it make money? So obviously a business makes money. That's pretty much the point. Of course, you want it to improve the world, otherwise it won't make you much money. So people have to see the value in it. If you want it to be internet-based and make money, then I have 55 internet business ideas for monetizing your business. I created these in 2016. They still apply today, but you can do things like blogging, turn it into affiliate marketing income. You could do web design. You could do an eBay store selling your product. You could do drop shipping. You could sell it as a service if you want to do freelancing or you want to sell your own business service. You could do all kinds of different things. So you can make an app, a software as a service, niche sites that talk about certain things. There's all kinds of different things that you could do to impact the world and monetize it in a way to where you can keep the lights on, you can make your payments on your bills and have a great life and make a surplus of money without just having a business idea that can't survive because it doesn't make any money. So if you want to go internet based, those are 55 ideas. If you want to just in general monetize a business and figure out what principles you should follow for monetizing any business idea, then smartceo.com has a really well put together article that I recommend you look at called Have a Great Idea, Here's How to Monetize It. And number 1, it says, how much does it cost to make or maintain your product? Definitely a question you have to answer. Are you providing a service? Is it a product? What is it? How much does it cost to maintain? What kind of staff do you have to have, if any? What kind of software do you have to have, if any? Do you have manufacturing? Do you have to ship it? What costs are the materials? How are your competitors monetizing? So you're always going to have some kind of competitors usually, unless you just come up with something very out there, just off the wall that no one's ever thought of. Then you can look at your competitors and see how they're monetizing. Number 3, how are your target demographics willing to pay? Who is your target market? Are you going after high-end clients? Are you trying to help the masses? Are you making something that billions of people can use, or just a handful of people could afford? How would they pay for it, and how would it be available? What's your primary means of monetization? So what is your main way to do this? There doesn't have to be one main way of monetizing. You could have a membership, you could have a one-time payment, you could have all kinds of different options. You could go based on project. There's a lot of different ways that you can monetize. You need to figure out what your primary one is going to be and build that one first. Also, how can you make your primary means of monetization consistent, and are there possible secondary means of monetization? So these are some of the questions you have to ask if you want to create a business. And of course you need to make money. That's the whole definition of a business. And if you want to help the world, you need to be able to pay for what you're doing. And last but not least, what would you feel good about what your business does? So one of the questions you'll notice in this 9 ways to figure out what you're meant to do is, if you're on your deathbed, would you feel good about what you've done? Would you feel good about what you worked on and what your business does? So a couple questions that really answer this that you need to ask yourself before launching this or working on it is, 1, would you want your friends and family to know what your business does? Would you be ashamed if they knew? Is it something shady? Is it something kind of sketchy? Is it something that they would frown upon? If so, you probably shouldn't do it. Number 2, if you were on your deathbed looking back on your life, would you say working on that business was a good decision? Would you say it was something that made the world a better place? Would you say you had an impact if it worked? So those types of things can help you decide whether mentally you have that peace of mind with this business. If you don't have peace of mind, if you're up at night, you have a hard time sleeping, you have a hard time living with yourself, just because you're making a lot of money doesn't mean you feel right about what you're doing, then you shouldn't do something like that. But other than that, if you got something from this video, if you feel like you learned about kind of the process for going about finding business ideas, please like and subscribe so I can create more videos like this for you. If there are some other questions that you ask yourself or that you would recommend for people looking to start a business or find ideas, or you want to just let me know what you thought about the video, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get feedback and add to this topic as much as possible. And all of the resources, articles I mentioned, links, and related content to this video will be at one page on selfmadesuccess.com. You can find that there, or I'll have a link to that page in the video description for you. So other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great day.